I found this book. And for those of you who like to write stuff down, you want to write down the name of this book. It's called The 5-Minute Zen Solution. It's a great book. It's small. It was $1.36 on Kindle. But before I even bought it, I downloaded a sample. And what it is it's this book with 50 short stories in it. Now, as many of you know, I spend most of my mornings reading these ancient Zen texts. I have looked into modern parables, and this is the first time I ran across something that really struck my heart. This is about the most relaxing book I have ever read. And it's these 50 short stories. And so I'm going to tell you the first one that got me going on this book in the first place and inspired my talk for today. The first story Thank you. Well, now that I got water, I don't need this in my mouth anymore. Hold on a second there. Isn't that great doing that right in front of you? I didn't even turn around. I'm like, why didn't I at least turn around? No, whatever. Keeping it real. All right. So the first story in this book starts out, he held his thoughts like stones. And with each thought that stuck with him, they weren't big boulders. They were like little pebbles going into a bag that just got heavier and heavier over time. Regrets, worries, things he wished he'd said, things he wished he hadn't said. All these little stones went into this bag until it got so heavy it stooped over his shoulders and his breath got shallow. And he tried all these different things to lay down the bag and nothing worked. His friends even said at one point, "You seem preoccupied." And he just smiled and changed the subject, but added that new stone to his bag. Until one day, he was sitting down beside a tree, a maple tree. At the time of year where the leaves had changed, his writing is really beautiful, his imagery, you know. That time of year where the leaves are sunbursts. And he sat there and just asked the universe, what can I do to put down this weight? And one leaf fell off the tree and just floated down next to him without asking permission, without any intent. And nothing was rectified, but something shifted, and he felt lighter. And at the end of each story, it has a prompt. And the prompt on this first story is, so what weight are you carrying around that maybe you don't realize you're carrying? And so I started journaling on that. And I came up with stuff. As I was journaling. I said, oh, and maybe you can relate to some of these that I came up with. The weight of wanting to be successful. Or, if you are successful, the weight of continued success. I realized I was carrying that as a weight. Maybe I'm not the only one. And I realized that even though I had shifted my idea about what success is, right? That's happening throughout our society now as people are taking a look at it's not about money, it's about happiness and spending time with family and having enough. I found that the way I took on my new view of success was exactly the same as the way I took on the old one. I'm a go-getter, and held it as a weight, that I was still carrying the weight of something my mother said to me when I was 5, which was, I don't care what you do as long as you're the best at it. And as I was meditating this week, I realized, oh my God, I'm still carrying that. I'm still thinking I gotta be the best at stuff. And that got me thinking about our society as a whole. I started thinking about the Oilers. How instead of being celebrated for being the team that beat every other team and made it to the Stanley Cup final, everybody, including the players themselves, are bummed they didn't win the cup. That there's no sense of success about what they did achieve. And that is so prevalent in our society. There's this in football, in U.S. football, there's this team, the Buffalo Bills. They made it to the Super Bowl 4 times. They never won. One of the reasons they got to the Super Bowl each time was because of their kicker could kick these extraordinary field goals from 50, 55. I mean, he was a big reason, not the only reason, obviously, but a big reason they made it. The only thing that people remember about that kicker is the kick he missed in the final seconds of a Super Bowl game that if he had made, they would have won. And he wrote a book about what it was like being the guy who missed that kick and uncelebrated for all the things he did do. This is our societal thing and a weight that we carry. Can you imagine the weight that the Oiler players are carrying because they didn't win the cup, instead of the feeling of lightness and success that they came in better than any other team except one? There are 32 teams? And they don't get celebrated for that. So what are you not celebrating for in your life? What are you not celebrating? I was in a workshop many years ago in my 20s with very similar to the one I'm now leading here. And there were over 100 people in the room, about 150 people. And the numbers for people to go was picked randomly. And the number 99 came up. And so he goes, 99. The guy stands up, goes up to the stage, and the workshop leader yells, "How come you didn't get 100? And the guy on stage goes, "Oh my God, my mother would say that to me all the time." This is what we deal with. Maybe you have some of that. Maybe you're carrying some of that. 99's not good enough? You still feel like you need something more? So when we're looking at what it is, what we're going for, what are the goals we're setting in our lives? There's this wonderful saying, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you're up among the stars. Except most of us don't feel that way. If we miss, all we're thinking about is we missed. And so it weighs us down. Talk about a weight, right? That is prevalent in our society. If we're going to see something new, if something new is going to arise, isn't this something that we could shift so that the silver medalist isn't up there crying that she didn't get the gold? And celebrates the fact, that can feel good about the fact they got that far ahead of how many other gymnasts? Or in your life, what are you celebrating? Or are you stuck on success like I have? Stuck on success has to look like this, right? Like I notice the weight of success has to look like this is a full room and there's no chairs left. Instead of celebrating the fact we're here together and though you're the guys who showed up today and this is great. You know, I notice myself getting stuck, and then I think to myself, maybe, just maybe, I'm not the only one. You know, that gets stuck in those places where it didn't fully materialize all the way, but God, let's celebrate what did. Let's celebrate what did show up. You know, hope. Hope can be this lighter thing, or it can be a weight. Did you know that hope can weigh you down depending on how you hold it? Like if you think you have to have it. If you think you have to have hope, you're putting it around you as a weight. Instead of allowing it as a lightness. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking about all the different kinds of things and the levels that we play with, right? I've been in this work a long time. As I've told you many times, I'm a very different person now than I used to be. But then what I realized this week as I was doing this work with this idea of what weight am I carrying that maybe I don't realize I'm carrying, right? Because that's what I'm looking for. I know the weights I'm carrying, and I'm working on weighing them down. I'm looking for the ones I may not be so aware of. I realized that I'm still carrying my past as a weight. Hi. I haven't laid it down as easily as they do. And so, how are you doing with that? Are you, even though I've changed and I'm this new person now, there's a way in which I hold my past in a way that is still waiting on me. I can feel the weight of it. I was talking to Enid this week about how I was so angry as a young man and know that I've changed intellectually, but have yet to accept the fact that I'm lovable. That when people tell me I'm lovable, I kind of laugh it off. I don't take it in. And so this week I decided, you know what? I need to start taking that in. I need to start looking at that and taking it in that I actually am a lovable guy, right? But honestly, I have to think about that. And think about the weight I've been carrying about the harsh person I was. And so maybe you've got some of that going on too. Maybe it isn't as dramatic as mine. Maybe it's subtler, because a lot of what we deal with is actually pretty subtle. It isn't always so black and white, right? So you want to look at those weights that you might be carrying, that you might not even be sure of, but you can feel the heaviness of it. Is something keeping you up at night? Do you feel exhausted a lot? Are you restless? The odds are these are weights that you're carrying that you get to lay down the same as I do. So it's a great prompt. Worry, regret, failures. Do you carry your failures as weights? Do they still run your mind? One of the great lines, this was written so beautifully. One of the great lines in this little story was how if you've been carrying a weight, one of those stones long enough, they actually become polished and round and smooth. Like they've been running through a river. But it doesn't make them any less heavy. They're just prettier. He talked about how this guy kept reorganizing, making lists. Do you make lists of the things you think you must accomplish? Those are weights. Stones in your bag. Now, I'm not saying don't have goals. Goals are great. But if you carry it as a weight, you're actually not helping yourself get there. The lighter we are, the more we're propelled forward. The second we take something on as something we have to do, something that needs doing, then it's no longer propelling us forward. It's actually weighing us down. So what do you hold that way? Responsibility. Responsibility can be the biggest weight of all. I was working with this guy who felt obligated to his sister. I'm working with this guy because the doctors gave him less than 6 months to live. And so I was literally his last hope for trying to figure out how to beat the cancer that was eating up his body. And when he described to me the obligation he felt towards his disabled sister, I said to him, well, that'll kill you. Carrying that weight around. And it hadn't dawned on him before. And so we did work around that, around letting it go as an obligation and seeing what was really there for him to do around taking care of his disabled sister. So it wasn't about, dropping her like a rock, but it was about letting go of the obligation of it. And when we did that, last I heard, he made it another 5 years. It's amazing what happens to our health, to our well-being, when we drop the weight, when we stop feeling obligated and find out what is our true responsibility here, that our higher self knows is ours to do. When we stick with that, we can walk across fire. When we stick with that, with what is ours, and we let go of these weights, we are propelled forward in ways that I have been astounded by. And I speak to you about that every week because it's so extraordinary to me. What's truly possible when we keep working on what's next for us to let go of, what's next for us to get closer to that place in us that is our soul's intention and leads us forward. What's next? For me, it was looking at this weight. Maybe for you, it's taking another class. Now, I know there are folks here who are so tired of me mentioning classes. But I'm here to tell you today that it truly is the best way to move forward. Our mission here is to teach you how to have a great life. That's our mission. So of course I'm going to say, we want to fulfill our mission for you. That's right. And it works. Ask the ones who are in class, it really does work. And as we go through, we find these, and I get to teach these classes with Ash and others here, and so we get to grow through that, but then I'm always looking for what's next for me because I owe you guys that. And so this week it was this. It was, how do I let go of those weights and even recognize what those weights are that I'm still carrying? Maybe you guys would like to take a look at that yourselves. You up for a meditation around this? Or maybe you could take a look at that. What do you think? Well, all right. So let's see what we can do to support you in getting in touch with the weights maybe you've been carrying, not the ones you already know that I'm sure you're working on letting go of, but see if there's others there that maybe you didn't know about. Are you good with that? All right. So take a deep breath. And relax. And imagine yourself on a path. It is the perfect path. It is your path. how it feels beneath your feet, the air against your skin, the smells, the sights, absolutely beautiful and perfect for you. And it brings you to a sanctuary, your perfect sanctuary. How it feels, how it smells, the air against your skin. Then there's a chair in the middle. And you go and sit in that chair, and it is so perfect for you that your whole body goes, ah. Take another deep breath and relax even more. Now, in this incredibly safe space, allow your higher self to speak to you as we look at your shoulders. Feel your shoulders. Do you feel any weight in your shoulders? If so, let your higher self speak to you as to what that stone or stones may be weighing on them. In your neck, feel if your neck is stiff. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's loose. Maybe it's just a touch stiff. And ask your higher self, what is the weight I'm carrying here? Your stomach. Feel if your stomach is soft or if there's tension there. If you feel any tension at all, even a little, ask your higher self, what is the weight I'm carrying here? Your hips. Check into your hips. If you feel any tension at all, ask yourself, what is the weight I'm carrying here? Or weights, because it may be more than one. Your spine. Is your spine stiff at all? Check in any of the spots along the spine, your lower back, your upper back, your middle, wherever it feels stiff. Ask yourself, what is the weight I'm carrying here? Now your legs, thighs and knees, calves. Is there any stiffness there? And ask yourself, what is the weight I'm carrying here? Fears are a heavy weight to carry. Your rib cage. Ask the same question there. If you're not able to breathe as deeply as you feel you might. Your feet. Do your feet hurt? What is the weight I'm carrying here? And with each weight you find, take that stone and put it into a bag. Imagine yourself taking those stones of all the weights you have found and putting them into a bag. And then putting that bag down beside you. Pick up each one, put it in the bag, and when you've gathered them all, put them in a bag and put them down beside you. You're welcome to pick it up again later. Feel the lightness of that. And in that lightness, use that as a marker for practice. To remind yourself, when you feel that weight again, to stop and take the time to put it down. Thank yourself. Thank your higher self. Thank yourself for this discovery. Maybe something new came up for you. Maybe it didn't. Either way, taking the time to take a look is a good thing. And when you're ready, come back to the room. We are here for lightness, for love, to bring forth that which is within us, that is ours to do, letting go of that which is not, letting go of that which weighs us down. There's a saying, angels fly because they take themselves lightly. You're all angels. Thank you. I love you.